Hello friends, in this video I will talk about how you should go about answering the reverse interview questions. Now reverse interview questions are those questions which you as candidate ask the interviewer. This is usually a 5 to 10 minute slot which falls towards the end of the interview. So once the interview has ended, the interviewer opens up the floor to the candidate, let's say you, and asks you if there are any questions that you want to ask of them. Usually these questions are not graded, and to say the least, technically the interview has ended. However, it is very important for you to be well prepared to answer or handle this part of the interview for two reasons. One, there is a 5 to 10 minute slot which will be dedicated for this part. So you better be prepared and have something to ask in order to fill up that vacuum. And second, since it's not graded and the guards of the interviewer are kind of down, this is your moment to pleasantly surprise them, because if you come up with a good or an exceptionally good answer, they would be blown away and they would be surprised because they weren't expecting it. Their notes are done, they are not taking any further notes, their interview technically is done, and their guards are down, and then they are just sitting at the back relaxing and asking you if you have any questions to ask of them. And suddenly you come up with superb or very good articulated questions and you ask of them, and suddenly it raises the temperature of the interview itself and they are pleasantly surprised. And hence this is what you want to eventually achieve out of the interview, which is surprise them pleasantly. And hence it is very important that you make sure you prepare for this segment of the interview. Now I've said a lot about the importance of this segment. Now let's quickly move into talking about the kind of questions you should be asking the interviewer. Typically there are two types of questions that you can ask the interviewer. And for these two types of questions, I'll make two separate videos. The one type I will cover in this video, and the other type I will make a separate video and cover that in a different video, and we'll leave the link for that video here above. Now the first type of questions are questions that you ask strategically in order to continue making the case that you are the right hire for this role. These questions don't stem from curiosity, rather they are driven from the idea that you want to make sure that if anything that was not covered during the interview, or if there was any stone that was left unturned during the interview, you cover it in these 5 to 10 minutes that are left on your hand. It is exactly these type of questions which I will cover in a separate video, and will leave the link for that video in the description of this video. Now the second type of questions which I will cover in this video are about you trying to understand the culture, people, team, the role, and the job. Here you're trying to come across as someone who's mature and who's trying to calibrate whether this company and this role is the right fit for you as an individual. And hence you're trying to understand whether the culture they follow, the role that exists, or the people that you will be hired in, which is the team that you will be hired into, are they the right fit for you or not? This will kind of show your maturity. Plus, it will also help you understand whether you are the right fit and you won't be miserable once you join the company. Rather, it will be somewhere where you would be happy and you would enjoy, grow, and develop. Now, depending on the type and kind of area that you want to explore, I will bucket these questions into 4 pillars. The first pillar is about company culture and values. Here you can go about asking the interviewer if they can tell you about a time when they took a decision using one of the company's values. Here what you're trying to understand is that while you've read about the company's culture and values on the web, however, you want to understand and make sure that those values are also made use of when they're making the decisions within the company. So they can talk all about, we are about consumers and we are about sustainability and health and all, but eventually when it comes to taking the decisions at the moment when the decisions are being taken, or when you're maneuvering where to move the strategy of the company and how to take a particular action, do you make use of those values or not? So with this question, you kind of understand how much of those values which you've read and understood are also applied in daily life. Second is about the scope of the role, which is you trying to understand the autonomy and the empowerment that you will have in this role. So you can go about asking, can you give me 2 or 3 examples of the kind of decisions this person will be taking autonomously? What is an example of a decision in this role that you expect this person who will come in this role to get input from you? And number 3 could be, what is an example of a decision that you as a hiring manager will make and expect this person who will be joining this role to execute? All these questions are trying to understand whether you will have empowerment and ability to make decisions in this role, or would you just be an executioner or a puppet? Next is about the organization and the team structure. Here what you can ask is, for instance, can you tell me what is the setup of the team and how is the team organized and where do they fit in within the broader organization's structure. Next could be, have there been significant changes in this team's structure in past year or so, and what were the objectives of that change? And third could be, how do you anticipate this team to evolve in the next couple of months? With all these questions, you're trying to understand where the team fits in the broader organization, what is their role, and what significant changes they've gone through in past, because you want to have all that history once you join that team, so you have an understanding whether you're joining a strong team, a weak team, a team that has recently changed, or a team that is struggling, and so on and so forth. Lastly would be about the role, which is what is the role's history, its progression, because you want to understand how would you add value once you join the role and what are the potential challenges. So one you can ask is, who else has progressed into other roles from this role and which roles have they progressed into? Again, this kind of also goes to reflect on the fact that you want to see yourself as someone who will be developing in this role and growing in this role and not be stuck in this role. And hence you want to understand that the person who was there in this role, how did they develop and grow out of this role? Similarly, asking what capabilities did they show, which kind of gave you the signals as a hiring manager that they were ready to move to the next level. Again, you're kind of giving signals that you want to understand what is required for you to be successful in this role. And lastly, maybe people who have not done good in this role, can you give an example of why and what did they do which made them less successful in this particular role? And one bonus question could be for you to understand and get a qualification of how did they perceive you as a candidate. So it could be that you ask them, what one risk that you would be taking by hiring me on this role? Now this serves two purposes. One, it will kind of tell you if they've felt anything wrong in you, any red flags, and they may call it out. And if they call it out, you can always jump in onto that red flag and kind of try to mitigate and solve for it. And second, it will kind of also help you understand what are the challenges that you would be entering into that you need to solve as the number one challenge once you get the role. Thank you for watching this video. Hopefully this video was helpful for you to have a good idea of how you should go about preparing for reverse interview questions. Thank you.